And welcome back to Janky AF and Year of the Aerostar, episode number 60. Well, it always just so happens that when I kind of hit these round numbers, now 60, obviously there's sometimes 30, sometimes 29, sometimes 31 days in a month, but 60 kind of connotes 2 months to me, like 30 days is about a month. So if you're not familiar with this program, what we're doing is one of these episodes for every day of the calendar year, plus leap day. Now, it doesn't mean we're doing them consecutively, but there will be one for every day of the calendar year. So that means we are committed to doing at least 366 episodes of this program, Year of the Aerostar, here on Janky AF, and Janky do thank you for watching. Now, where was I going with this? Every time I do, it just so happens that I'm up against 50, or when, we got to 30, it just so seems that something, kind of nice or pleasant happens that makes us, be grateful and appreciate all things in life. And to me, the Aerostar is like sort of this beacon which enables me to, radiate with it, and it gives me this joy. And it's not just because it's a mechanical thing and a vehicle, but something about its very presence impacts my life in a way that I can hopefully spread that energy on towards others. In other words, just because it's an object doesn't mean it doesn't have impact on me as a human. Blah, 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 blah. But anyways, I think we have a cool episode for episode 60. Now, I happen to be drinking an old Milwaukee non-alcoholic beverage, as you can see here. New Year's is upon us. So I'm trying to, ride my Aerostar into another great year of the Aerostar here in the age of the Aerostar, age of Aerostar. So I'm partying like it's 1999, and this is not a 1999 Aerostar, but we'll get to that. So with that, I said in another video that, and this will probably be the longest intro on Year of the Aerostar, but that's all right. It's a New Year's special, We had a great batch of Aerostars, and there was one, a 1994 Aerostar, brown over gold, which was very similar to a 1987 Aerostar, brown over gold. And so I was comparing those two, and I was saying how rare it is to find that color scheme in the later model years. And then I look back, and actually on Craigslist right now, there are 3 Aerostars in this color scheme that you're about to see here, which is very funny. So maybe I was just excited in the moment, and I wasn't quite right. But anyways, it still it's a joy and a unanticipated thing. People say you never see Aerostars on the road. Well, we have proof right here, ladies and gentlemen, and all others, that the Aerostar is alive and well. So we will do a beautiful Year of the Aerostar coming right up now. And without further ado, here we have a 1992 Ford Aerostar minivan, listed for $6,000 in Hollisapi, Pennsylvania, or no, Hollisopple. I like Hollisapi or Hollisloppy. Some of you know that my nickname is Slop or Sloppy or El Slopperino, if you're not into the whole brevity thing. And it's funny because I was called that when I was younger, and then that kind of evolved into Janky. Maybe when I took ownership of the sloppiness of my life, I get to at least put a name on it for myself, and I call it Janky. It's a little loosey-goosey, it's a little jingle-jangle, but that's all right, Janky people are people too. So I interpreted this as Hollislopple, Pennsylvania, perhaps subconsciously, instead of Halsopple. Halsopple, that sounds much better. Halsopple, Pennsylvania. Excuse me, good people of Halsopple, Pennsylvania. Okay, so about this vehicle. Driven 109,000 miles, automatic transmission, exterior brown, interior color brown, fuel type gasoline, 22 miles a gallon highway, 18 miles per gallon combined, 3+ owner, and ding, 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 this vehicle is paid off. Well, I should hope so. If you still have a note on a 1992 Ford Aerostar, Although, you know, to be fair, like next year I might have a note on a 1992 Ford Aerostar because I would finance a $6,000 vehicle from 1992. So that's kind of funny. You know, it's ha ha ha, like how are you still paying for your 92 Aerostar? Now we assume that's because they bought it new. But maybe you financed a 1992 Ford Aerostar, as I might do next year. We'll see. Okay, seller's description. 1992 Ford Aerostar 3.0 V6 auto, 110,000 miles. This van is in great condition, no rust, runs great, clean interior. Mwah. Chef's kiss. Everyone is saying chef's kiss now these days. I don't know why, but it's like a, I don't know if you've noticed this, but it's like this thing where I hear everyone using that phrase, and it's like a nice phrase, it's a lovely phrase, and I love that it's having a moment right now, but it's just funny how, you know, these things go in waves. And you know what else is having a moment right now is the Ford Aerostar, and this is an absolutely exemplary example. Parked in a church parking lot, looks like, which I love it. It's you know, very or maybe it's a school, or maybe it's a Christian school. We don't know. So first thing we have to talk about is the paint scheme, of course. And I saw this 1994 one, and I said, boy, isn't that like an amazing paint scheme? You never see those in the later years. And two things have sort of like fallen into my mind since then. One, I really think that this brown is, I believe it's Mocha Frost, is quite a bit more gold than the like sort of dark chestnut, I think it was called in the 87 one that we saw, and in the earlier browns. So I do think that distinguishes a little bit. I can kind of see them for their own thing now. But just overall, the choice of brown and gold was much more of an 80s thing than a 90s thing. So the fact that it carried all the way into 94, I was surprised by. 92 is, you know, it's a little bit closer to the 80s, so it's like, okay, it makes a little bit more sense that this color scheme was on it, but clearly only being 2 years apart. You know, my statement that the 94 Aerostar in brown and gold was so rare was probably not, you know, as rare as I thought it might have been. Now, it didn't affect my, you know, happiness in seeing that Aerostar, and now to see another one, I'm happy to be proven wrong. So, but boy, what a great looking vehicle. I mean, you know, God, the thing I love about the Aerostar, it's all about dualities. It's all about these little pairs, these little couplets. Like, it looks the same. Like the Aerostar I've talked about this, it's a unified singular design from 1986 to 1997. Very slight changes, sure, but largely the profile, the shape, the styling, the design, the presence, the aura, exactly the same. Like no real facelifts where, like, you know, things were tweaked or stuff like that. Little updates maybe, sure. And no second generation, no, like it just was the Aerostar, you know, for all of time. However, despite that, you get these amazing different variations, these amazing different flavors, and everyone looks unique and everyone looks, you know, individual to itself. So it's very singular and very same and very consistent, and yet it's very diverse and very limitless in the possibilities and things like that. So that little duality of those two kind of like opposite contradictory worlds that it inhabits at the same time is just like beautiful to me. And this is like such a pristine example. We got to look at the interior. Okay, so very briefly, I'm not going to critique this, but this just so happens to be, and now we're just talking me here. This is my least favorite hubcap design. I think this design resembles like the generic hubcap that you would find in like an auto parts store. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that either, let me add. But to me, it just doesn't look iconically Ford. And for me, the way I like to dress these vehicles up, I like to, you know, make them look like sort of iconically Ford, for lack of a better word. And of course, the great irony is these are iconically Ford because it's a Ford OEM part, you know, so if it is Ford. So far be I to jump on my high Aerostar and, you know, talk about horses. But that's just my personal preference. Now, I love steel wheels on vehicles. I put steel wheels on basically everything I can. And the Aerostar, there were two versions of steel wheels that the Aerostar made. The earlier ones accepted the dog dish hubcap, and as you've maybe seen on my 1993 Aerostar, that is what I would probably do with this one. Although, who knows? Maybe I would put some of those nice, like really like thin rim hubcaps on, a different style. Maybe even alloys. But boy, you can just see just the color scheme, the Mocha Frost over the, I'm not sure exactly what the gold is. It looks like there's a little bit of pinstriping going on, which is fantastic. I'm not sure if that's the same as the gold or perhaps just a tiny bit lighter. In either case, just that little pièce de résistance, that little added touch of nuance and subtlety and character. I love the way, so the only thing I'm noticing about the different two-tones, in the earlier models, the hood, the two-tone kind of ran down this line, this body crease you have here, and I've talked about this. It's a beautiful curve amongst all the Aerostar's angles, and there's sort of like a cluster of curves right here, which I really, really like. But in the later Aerostars, they wrapped the stripe around the front of the hood instead of coming down here. So instead of the hood being all the same color as this, top and bottom trim, it's the color of like the stripe, which is kind of cool. Now, it is curious that it seems like they would have a natural curve to run up the hood, right, direct to the cowl, and make like the whole hood this color. But I kind of like that they have this sort of secondary curve that's created in there, and I think it looks nice on the front, as we'll go back and look at. Oh, you know what? I learn something every day. It does go directly to the cowl. I figured there'd be a little strip here. I didn't even think to look, but the whole entire hood is painted the secondary color there. So that's wonderful. So I guess that's why they probably didn't come up all the way to, where it meets the windshield trim. But maybe that would look good too. I'm curious to find out. Moving on. 1992 was like the first year of the, oh, look at these gorgeous mud flaps. Don't they just give it like a nice presence? It almost looks like a little bit lower, maybe even a little bit wider with those mud flaps on there. They don't, if you're ever selling an Aerostar or selling a car in general, I must say, people don't show like straight on, well-composed head and posterior shots of the vehicle. Isn't it funny how the front is the face and the rear is like the posterior, but they're not like in a car, they're on an equal plane. On a person, they're like that. So it's funny we give them those names, but the back of the head of the van is what I mean to say. But I just think it shows a car in a unique way. Like the face of a car looks different than any other angle of a car. I like flat profile and head-on shots because they show the car, they show like the pure character of what the car is. And anytime they're at an angle like this, yeah, you're seeing, it's more complex and you're seeing geometry because it's not flat, but I really like just the front head-on shots of a vehicle. Okay, we continue the glory with the brown and gold interior. And of course this part stays black. I don't think that, except possibly in the red models, but I don't even know if this ever got any tint, this plastic. I think it was pretty much always black, but I love that black and tan interior. I tend to like the lighter colors on the interiors in these Aerostars, although certainly the contrast of light and dark here looks absolutely wonderful. And it looks like even, that's interesting, your dog door here, I believe is, unless this is just a giant mat, is a different color than the floor carpeting, which is funny. So the two-toneness of the interior goes all the way down to the dog door and the floor carpet, which is just fantastic. I have these bench seats in my 86, and these ones are like really pristine. Mine is not bad, but these ones are so clean. I love these two-tone bench seats. I've talked about the two-tone seats on the Aerostars a million times. Boy, it looks so good here, kind of, excuse me as I take a sip of my beverage here. The intuition would probably be, because you have this ribbing going horizontal and you have this going vertical, to cut the two-tone pattern off right here, right? But they carry it all the way on, so it's got this sheer edge, and it even has this wonderful sort of like thick gold piping that runs down, bisecting the two. And I just think that looks phenomenal. I like how the color changes at an angle. I think that's really cool. Rear bench seat looks great as well. These can seat 7 people very comfortably, which is amazing. It's like, and it's such a compact package. That's the Aerostar at its essence, being able to haul a lot of stuff in a relatively compact package. So it's a van of economy and of, cleverness in a way, and of ingenuity. And, people often say when there's a compromise that everybody loses. But I think sometimes sort of the opposite end of that, the opposite of a compromise is the sum being, the whole being greater than the sum of its parts. It's like alchemy, And that's, I think, what the Aerostar is. It's not compromised in any way. It's just a strange fusion of multiple things that I think in its totality ends up, being all the more better for its variations and, internal diversities. So, for the record, that's my position. So, I mean, I've rambled on for quite some time. I got a good buddy here from Germany. Shout out to Andre. We're going down to New York City. We're going to hopefully do some cool car spotting down there. So a little, mini getaway. He's doing a photography project down there, so it'll be a very creative, productive time. Very excited for that. So just, a good time. We're turning a page. We're moving into a new calendar year. Year of the Aerostar is hitting basically close to the end of our second month. And I just want to sort of exude some positivity and some goodwill and some, hope and faith and love, and project those things outward, vis-a-vis the conduit of the Ford Aerostar into the world. And, that's really all you can do at the end of the day, right? So, there you have it. Thank you everybody so much for watching. It's really, it warms my heart to get these comments and these messages and people sending me pictures of the Aerostar. And I just, I'm really thankful for it. So, Janky do Thanky. And with that, this has been another episode of Year of the Aerostar, episode number 60 here on Janky AF. So we'll see you soon for another one. Many great other things coming here on Janky AF, so please do stay tuned. I'll give a little teaser here. We drove a Cadillac XLR, and we drove a C8 Corvette, and we drove a 2002 Toyota Camry. Now, some people may not say that is, up in that echelon with those others, but me, every car is a great car, so I thoroughly enjoyed them all. And that's the great thing, like a 2002 Camry can bring things to the table that a C8 Corvette cannot, and vice versa, of course, but this is sort of the beauty of equality within the automotive world in my eyes. So there you go. Until next time, Janky do Thanky.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.